If you had a project you thought could change the world, would you open it up for collaboration or keep it to yourself? Back in 1991, Linus Torvalds had this same choice. He chose collaboration, and it resulted in Linux, the most successful open source project in history. But what Linus didn't realize was that he was also unlocking the power of distributed genius. What's distributed genius? Well, it's the idea that competition can't beat collaboration. It's thousands of minds from around the world working for a common purpose. If it weren't for distributed genius, we wouldn't have Linux. And Linux powers the internet, Google, Facebook, your Android phone. Linux is a core building block of the information age, and collaboration is at the core of Linux. So we at the Linux Foundation started thinking, what if we took the collaborative blueprint at the heart of Linux and helped other people adapt it to solve the world's biggest problems? What if you could harness the power of distributed genius for your project? The Linux Foundation has developed principles, practices, and services to support collaboration, from development to infrastructure to spreading new ideas around the world. In just the last few years, our collaborative projects have generated over 68 million lines of code, contributed by thousands of developers from over 500 companies. That's work that would take 1,000 developers around 24 years to replicate. Together, we're helping solve the problems of tomorrow, such as how do we build cost-effective drones that deliver medical supplies to villages unreachable by car? Can we relieve network bottlenecks so 1 billion new users can connect to the internet? Could we more efficiently feed the world by enabling irrigation systems to talk to sensors in the field? That's the power of distributed genius. Thousands of minds working together to solve the world's hardest problems at a speed and scale never seen before. So when it comes to your project, remember you have a choice. The Linux Foundation believes collaboration can change the world. Do you?
Español, English, Deutsch. Normalmente produzco solo videos en inglés y español. Normally I produce only videos in English and Spanish. Normalerweise produziere ich nur Videos en English und Spanish. Pero hoy voy a hacer otra excepción y traducirlo también en alemán. But today I make another exception and translate it into German too. Aber heute werde ich nochmal eine Ausnahme machen und es auch in Deutsch übersetzen. Ya algunas semanas tengo escrito en mi lista de tareas por hacer de traducir el video #BTC4. Now already some weeks ago I have written on my to-do list to translate the video BTC4, #BTC4. Schon seit ein paar Wochen habe ich auf meiner To-Do-Liste geschrieben, den Video BTC4 in Deutsch zu übersetzen. Estoy segura que esta idea puede ayudar a mucha gente económicamente. I'm sure that this can help many people economically. Ich bin sicher, dass diese Idee vielen Leuten finanziell helfen kann. Y da motivación para aprender Bitcoin. And give motivation to learn about Bitcoin. Und Motivation geben, um über Bitcoin zu lernen. En este momento el precio de Bitcoin es muy bajo, económico. At the moment the price of Bitcoin is very low, economic. Im Moment ist der Preis von Bitcoin sehr tief. Sería el momento ideal para invertir. Hoy es el 15 de abril 2015. Would be the ideal moment to invest. Today is April 15th, 2015. Es wäre der ideale Moment zu investieren. Heute ist der 15. April 2015. El 27 de marzo 2015 he publicado en mi canal de YouTube Vanos Enigma el primer vídeo sobre hashtag BTC4 explicando cómo me vino esta idea. On March 27th of 2015, I published the first video about hashtag BTC4 in my channel YouTube Vanos Enigma, explaining how I got the idea. Am 27. März 2015 habe ich in meinem YouTube-Channel Vanos Enigma den ersten Video über Hashtag BTC4 veröffentlicht und erklärt, wie ich diese Idee bekommen habe. La idea consiste principalmente en lo siguiente. The idea mainly consists in the following. Die Idee besteht hauptsächlich in folgendem. Imprimir direcciones de Bitcoin en papel, 10 o mínimo 10 o mejor 100. To print Bitcoin directions in paper, at least 10 or better 100. Bitcoin Adressen in Papier ausdrucken, Minimum 10 oder besser gleich 100. Y luego poner en cada dirección de Bitcoin una pequeña cantidad de Bitcoin. And then put in every Bitcoin direction a little amount of Bitcoin. Und dann in jede Bitcoin-Adresse eine kleine Summe von Bitcoin transferieren. Y la próxima vez, cuando otra vez ves una persona por la calle pidiendo dinero, and the next time you see again a person begging for money on the street, und das nächste Mal, wenn du wieder eine Person auf der Straße betteln siehst, y para tus amigos y amigas, and for your friends of course, und für deine Freunde natürlich, o tal vez de propina en un restaurante, or maybe a tip in a restaurant, oder Trinkgeld im Restaurant. Bueno, a la hora de imprimir también copiar y guardar las llaves privadas de Bitcoin, de direcciones de Bitcoin. When you print the Bitcoin addresses, copy and save the private keys of the Bitcoin addresses, of course. Wenn man die Bitcoin-Adressen druckt, auch die privaten Schlüssel, Bitcoin-Address-Schlüsseln kopieren und speichern. Y a la hora de distribuir las direcciones de Bitcoin, escribir la fecha, por ejemplo, hoy es el 15 de abril 2015, escribir la fecha más plus 4 años, igual 15 de abril 2019. And then in the moment when you distribute the Bitcoin addresses, you write the date, for example, today, April 15th, 2015, plus 4 years is April 15th, 2019. Und dann in dem Moment, wenn man die Bitcoin-Adressen verteilt, auf das Papier schreiben, das heutige Datum, zum Beispiel 15. April 2015, plus 4 Jahre ist gleich 15.04.2019. Luego vas a explicar a la gente, mira, esta es la llave privada, tú y yo la tienes. Si no transfieres este dinero de Bitcoin en estos 4 años, yo lo vuelvo a tener o sacar. Then you explain to the people, look, this is the private key. I have it and you have it. If you don't take this money, Bitcoin, out of this account, I will take it out in these 4 years, at the end of these 4 years. Und dann erklärst du den Leuten, schau, das ist der private Schlüssel. Ich und du haben diesen privaten Schlüssel, Bitcoin-Schlüssel. Wenn du bis Ende dieser 4 Jahre das Geld Bitcoin nicht raustust, Transfer, dann hole ich es zurück. De esta forma das más motivación a la gente para empezar a aprender cómo funciona Bitcoin. This way you give more motivation to the people to learn how the technology of Bitcoin functions. Auf diese Weise gibst du mehr Motivation den Leuten zu lernen, wie die Technologie von Bitcoin funktioniert. En mi video antiguo
English Español. VideoMix number 25, VideoMix número 25. This time I want to talk especially about hashtag JCCVW, which I created some time ago, abbreviation for Justice, Court, Comedy and Virtual Worlds. Esta vez quiero hablar especialmente sobre el tema hashtag JCCVW, que el hashtag que he creado hace algún tiempo, y es la abreviación por justicia, Justice, Court, Comedy in Virtual Worlds, justicia, comedia de justicia en mundos virtuales. I made already several videos about this hashtag. Ya he hecho varios videos sobre este hashtag. But this time, especially thinking of my last video, number 24, robot ethics. Pero esta vez especialmente pensando en mi último video, VideoMix número 24, Robot Ethics, ética de robots. First, I want to mention the episode of Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror number 13. Primero quiero mencionar el episodio de Simpsons número 13, Treehouse of Horror número 13. Just a side note, it's astonishing now many years in Spanish TV and at lunchtime and in the evening they are still showing about half an hour or more Simpsons, many years now. Es asombroso. Ya muchos años que por el mediodía y también por la noche enseñan por lo menos media hora de los Simpsons en la televisión española. Did you hear of the term Simpsonology? ¿Has oído del término Simpsología o Simpsonology. Maybe I'll check out if it in Spanish, Simpsonología. Long story short, the moral of this episode of The Simpsons, the animals have more ethics than humans. Resumiendo este episodio de Los Simpsons, los animales tienen más ética que los humanos. Remember my last video, VideoMix number 24, Robot Ethics, Cat Ethics. Recuerda mi último VideoMix número 24, Robot Ethics, ética de robots, and Cat Ethics, ética de gatos. And with a funny GIF. GIF is abbreviation for Graphic Interchange Format. Y con un gracioso GIF. GIF. Maybe it's a little helpful to compare robot ethics and cat ethics. Tal vez ayuda a comparar un poco el ética de robots y ética de gatos. Once I said to my mom, talking with this person is like teaching ethics to cats. Una vez he dicho a mi madre, mira, hablando con esta persona es como enseñar ética a gatos. They just do what they want. Solo simplemente hacen lo que quieren. And the robots do what they are programmed to do. Y los robots hacen simplemente lo que están programados de hacer. The question is the responsibility. La cuestión es la responsabilidad. So in the end, you see, it's almost not controllable. Así que verás que al final no es controlable. But normal cats can never turn as evil as humans. Pero gatos normales nunca pueden volverse tan malos, hacer cosas tan malas como los humanos. perversion, perversión, opposite land, el país de justo todo al revés, copyright, copy prohibition. Copyright es más bien no un derecho de copiar, sino una prohibición de copiar. Law of intellectual property, la ley de la propiedad intelectual. Especially because I like to produce VideoMix, I got very angry about the legal system and the perverse law of intellectual property, which inhibits innovation and freedom of expression. Especialmente porque me gusta producir VideoMix, me enfadé con el sistema legal, especialmente la ley de la propiedad intelectual que inhibe la innovación y la libertad de expresión. And if you continue to think about the legal system, you get more and more doubts. Y si continúas de pensar sobre el sistema legal, vas a tener más y más dudas. But still, I think it's important to have a place to talk about ethics. Pero igualmente pienso que es importante de tener un lugar donde se hable sobre ética. That's the main motivation why I created hashtag JCCVW, Justice Court Comedy in Virtual Worlds. Es la motivación principal por la que creado el hashtag JCCVW, Justice Court Comedy in Virtual Worlds, comedia de justicia en mundos virtuales. Even on my main Twitter account, Vanos Enigma, the cover picture, I've got written, justice, who has the right to judge? Who is without sin, cast the first stone. Hasta en mi cuenta de Twitter principal, Vanos Enigma, tengo el cover, la imagen de cover, escrito justicia. ¿Quién tiene el derecho de juzgar? Quien esté sin pecado, que tire la primera piedra. And it's astonishing how often The Simpsons show some kind of court comedies. Y es asombroso cuántas veces los Simpsons enseñan algún tipo de comedias de juicios. I want to remember especially the lawsuit or court comedy of Homer Simpson when he sold his soul to the devil, Ned Flanders. Especialmente quiero recordar el juicio de Homer Simpson cuando vendió su alma al diablo, Ned Flanders. In normal legal system, the question is always, is it legal or is it illegal? En el sistema legal, normalmente la pregunta es legal o es ilegal? But it's more important to ask, is it ethical, is it right or is it wrong? Es más importante preguntar, ¿está bien o mal? ¿Es ético o no es ético? Did you hear of the term jury nullification? has oído de este término, ahora no sé en español, pero uno tiene el derecho de decir que, por ejemplo, no culpable porque la ley es injusta. You have the right to say it's not guilty because the law is not just, unjust. I want to remember especially the case of Ross Albrecht, Free Ross, hashtag Free Ross, Dread Pirate, Silk Road. Especialmente quiero recordar el juicio de Ross Albrecht, Silk Road, Bitcoin, and my profile picture of InnocentCryptoKitty y mi imagen de perfil InnocentCryptoKitty, que quiere decir gatito inocente de criptografía. But it's medical catnip, pero es catnip médico. 30 years of jail for running a website which other people used for buying and selling catnip. 30 años de cárcel por hacer una página web que otras personas han usado para comprar y vender catnip. And I want to remember what said Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus. He said something like, the war against drugs cause more harm than the drugs themselves. Y quiero recordar lo que dijo Roger Ver, que es como el Bitcoin, el Jesús de Bitcoin. Dijo algo como que la guerra contra las drogas causan más daño que las drogas mismas. Okay, let's go back to even if you would want to have a person like, and not just Roger Ver, the case of Charlie Schrim, another Bitcoiner. A very interesting case too, and one interview. I made a video, very interesting comment of Andreas Antonopoulos in one episode of Let's Talk Bitcoin. I think it's the VideoMix number. Yes, I had just a look. It's VideoMix number 17. Justo he mirado, es el VideoMix número 17 con Charlie Schrim. This comment I like too much, so I will paste it. Just paste it here. Este comentario me gusta demasiado, así que algunos minutos voy a pegar en este momento.
Podcasts can agree to the fact that whatever we have in this country that passes for a justice system has at least 3 tiers. There are, people at the top who get infinite forgiveness for some of the most disgusting mega crimes and never face the tiniest consequence for their actions. You can put 1 million people out of their homes with fraudulent foreclosures. You'll never see the inside of a courtroom. You can rig markets, steal money from investors, defraud millions of people. You'll never see the inside of a courtroom. And yet there's the other side of the scale where you have a situation of zero tolerance, where the slightest infraction, selling a loose cigarette for 30 cents, gets you a street side arrest, judgment, and execution by strangulation, where jaywalking gets you shot by a cop even if you're unarmed, and where cities run effectively debtors' prisons where they rotate people through there for traffic fines and keep accumulating them until they end up in jail for violating subpoenas and things like that, and run it as a for-profit enterprise. And then in the middle is the middle class, caught in this justice system, this thin layer that's getting thinner all the time because they're getting squeezed from the bottom. And the middle class sees the top of this country getting away with mega crimes and sees a wave of zero tolerance coming at them that used to only affect minorities, but now is increasingly taking bites out of the middle class. And they're struggling desperately not to fall into this Orwellian zero tolerance justice system. That's not justice. I think everyone on this call probably has a similar perspective to this, but effectively what we're talking about is an erosion of the rule of law. And the most fundamental concept of the rule of law is equality in judgment. If a law exists, there is one tier. Everybody faces the same consequences for breaking that law. And that fundamental social compact has been violated. And for some stratum of the society, it never really existed. You know, some people were always going to feel the heavy boot of law with no recourse, and suffered under that for 200 years. But now that is increasingly becoming the vast majority of the population. So you live in a society where the slightest mistake is very harshly punished. That's if you survive the police encounter. While you watch a country's so-called elite just roll from scandal to scandal, from crime to crime, with no one going to jail. War crimes, no jail time. Bank fraud, no jail time. All of these things, you know, surveillance and violating the constitutional rights of millions of people, not even a misdemeanor issue. It just gets legalized after the fact. Lying to Congress, no problem. And then Preet can promote his resume by going after Charlie. It's really a disgusting situation, but I think it's a situation that has nothing to do with Bitcoin per se. It's just a universal collapse of justice and the rule of law in this country. One of the few countries that actually had it.
That was so well said. I have no response to it. I completely agree with Andreas. Everything he just said. It's not limited to Bitcoin. It's an overall. You see it with everything. I mean, look at the case of Aaron Schwartz. May he rest in peace. But once they have their sights on you, telling it's you per se, I think it's what you represent or who you are. There's no getting out of those sights. And the higher up you are, the harder it is for them to prosecute you. It just doesn't make sense for them. Our justice system has been corrupted or viewed to what it is today. And
I created a hashtag Let's Talk Justice, or maybe a better hashtag Let's Talk Ethics. Y también he creado ese hashtag vamos a hablar sobre justicia, Let's Talk Justice, pero tal vez mejor Let's Talk Ethics, vamos a hablar sobre ética. After this part of VideoMix number 17, I will paste a short video comparison of the two websites of Wikipedia about this episode of Simpson Treehouse of Horror number 13. Y después de esa parte del VideoMix número 17 voy a pegar un pequeño video en una comparación entre las dos páginas de Wikipedia en inglés, en español. I forgot to say in English. In comparison between English and Spanish of the episode of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Perdón, español ahora. Comparación del episodio de Simpsons Treehouse of Horror número 13. Comparing hashtag JCCVW to the real legal system. Of course, there is no such thing like judgment, rather fiction punishment. Comparando JCCVW, comparándolo con el sistema legal, por supuesto no hay tal cosa como una sentencia de juicio, más bien un castigo ficticio. Just want to remember you, I have that Twitter account Soul Trade Game in virtual worlds like Second Life with Virtual Guide Dog. Recordar que tengo la cuenta en Twitter que se llama Soul Trade Game, traducido juego de negocios de almas. Es como un juego en mundos virtuales como Second Life, especially interesting for cats and blind people. Especialmente interesante para gatos y personas que estén ciegos o tengan problemas con los ojos, or people blind or people who have problems with the eyes. Anyway, watch my videos about Soul Trade Game. De toda forma, mirad mis videos sobre Soul Trade Game, juego de negocio de almas. And I have that Twitter account, SoulConfiscator Catch. Y tengo esta cuenta de Twitter, SoulConfiscator Cat. You are welcome on all of my Twitter accounts. Normally I follow back. Estáis bienvenidos en todas mis cuentas de Twitter. Normalmente sigo de vuelta. So you see I have a double or triple interest to open hashtag JCCVW. Así que veis que tengo un doble o triple interés de abrir el hashtag JCCVW, Justice Cloud Comedy in Virtual Worlds. What I wanted to say before about this jury nullification. If you really would like to participate in a trial lawsuit, to help somebody from getting declared guilty fast, you have to take vacation. You have to buy a flight to New York. And I think this trial was in January of Free Ross Albrecht, Silk Road. So, bueno, lo que iba a decir antes con respecto al derecho de renullification, en español no me acuerdo, no estoy segura, pero que tienes el derecho de decir que mira, yo no estoy de acuerdo que esta persona sea declarada culpable. Así que primero tendrías que tomar vacaciones, comprar un vuelo a Nueva York. Y era ese juicio, me parece, era en enero, cuando hizo un montón de frío. So comparing this legal system with hashtag JCCVW, this is in virtual worlds. Everybody can participate and talk about ethics, right or wrong. Don't need to buy a flight to New York. Comparando ahí con el sistema legal. No, eso tiene lugar en mundos virtuales. No hay que comprar un vuelo a Nueva York y tanto esfuerzo para participar en un juicio, discutir sobre ética. Puedes fácilmente participar de cualquier lugar, ordenador, P2P, and especially talking about robot ethics. This will be very important in the future. Y especialmente el tema de ética de robots en el futuro será muy importante. Because it's easy to say the person who programmed the robot is responsible for the actions, but it's very easy to hide the identity who programmed the robot. Es muy fácil decir que la persona que ha programado el robot es responsable por las acciones del robot, pero es muy fácil de ocultar la identidad de la persona que ha programado el robot. So now
If you had a project you thought could change the world, would you open it up for collaboration or keep it to yourself? Back in 1991, Linus Torvalds had this same choice. He chose collaboration, and it resulted in Linux, the most successful open source project in history. But what Linus didn't realize was that he was also unlocking the power of distributed genius. What's distributed genius? Well, it's the idea that competition can't beat collaboration. It's thousands of minds from around the world working for a common purpose. If it weren't for distributed genius, we wouldn't have Linux. And Linux powers the internet, Google, and irrigation systems to talk to sensors in the field. That's the power of distributed genius. Thousands of minds working together to solve the world's hardest problems at a speed and scale never seen before. So when it comes to your project, remember you have a choice. The Linux Foundation believes collaboration can change the world. Do you? Facebook, your Android phone. Linux is a core building block of the information age, and collaboration is at the core of Linux. So we at the Linux Foundation started thinking, What if we took the collaborative blueprint at the heart of Linux and helped other people adapt it to solve the world's biggest problems? What if you could harness the power of distributed genius for your project? The Linux Foundation has developed principles, practices, and services to support collaboration, from development to infrastructure to spreading new ideas around the world. In just the last few years, our collaborative projects have generated over 68 million lines of code, contributed by thousands of developers from over 500 companies. That's work that would take 1,000 developers around 24 years to replicate. Together, we're helping solve the problems of tomorrow, such as how do we build cost-effective drones that deliver medical supplies to villages unreachable by car? Can we relieve network bottlenecks so 1 billion new users can connect to the internet? Could we more efficiently feed the world by enabling
Español, English, Deutsch. Normalmente produzco solo videos en inglés y español. Normally I produce only videos in English and Spanish. Normalerweise produziere ich nur Videos en Englisch und Spanisch. Pero hoy voy a hacer otra excepción y traducirlo también en alemán. But today I make another exception and translate it into German too. Aber heute werde ich nochmal eine Ausnahme machen und es auch in Deutsch übersetzen. Ya algunas semanas tengo escrito en mi lista de tareas por hacer de traducir el video #BTC4. Now already some weeks ago I have written on my to-do list to translate the video BTC4, #BTC4. Schon seit ein paar Wochen habe ich auf meiner To-Do-Liste geschrieben, den Video BTC4 in Deutsch zu übersetzen. Estoy segura que esta idea puede ayudar a mucha gente